Okay, now my poster is done. It's got color type, it's got a color spot illustration. The type and the illustration are all vector elements that were brought in and then kept as smart objects, just like I did with the campus logo. And then even when I view it, if I go view 100%, I can see the real pixels at 16 by 20 at 350 pixels per inch. And I can see the slight texture and the clean edges of the vectors and the background, which should look a little softer and more rasterized with the white border. And if I want a little bit of texture on my Nico guy, I can just go to one of my coloring layers and add that. Let's see, maybe the full spectrum. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of that texture on there. You see, I like that. Gives a little bit extra to the coloring. So layer styles can be very helpful with your raster coloring and your vectors. So I was going to show you how to do an internal border if you wanted. So I made a duplicate. I copied this border by merging everything together. Copied it with a low tolerance and contiguous. So it's on this layer now. And now what I can do is I can duplicate that again and hit Command T and hold down Option and just step it in. And maybe pull it away from the bottom because I want to keep the bottom where it is. Oops. So hold down Shift and just stretch the bottom off. And then I'm going to do that again. Command J, Command T, hold down Option. Little slivers of background until it starts to overlap with my edges. And once it starts to overlap with my edges, I can just do Command left bracket and start moving it down underneath those elements. You see how now my type pops out and my spot illustration pops out. And just breaking the border a little bit can be really effective. So now the problem with playing with the border like that is you can get little issues. So you want to always zoom in on it. And then I'm going to cover these up. This is why we always do borders with white, just by selecting them. And you can always just block out your border with white shapes. I'm just holding down Shift to add to this. Then I'm going to create lots of things and then fill it. Okay, so I'm going to say Edit Fill with white. So you can always create internal borders. And because it's overlapping what I want, remember this is on a different layer, I'm going to go ahead and move it down below. Where are those edges coming from? And I can also just do it like this. I can cut away from it. So however you can get the border you want. go ahead and do that. And then you are done. You've got your finished poster. But you see how I have more space on the top than the bottom? So that's where crop comes in. And I'm just going to use my nudge arrows and make it so there's a little bit more space on the bottom than the top. And try to make the sides, holding down Option, equal to the top. That's how our border usually works. There's a tiny bit more space on the bottom than the top. And at the top and sides, the border space matches. That way, and it's always white, a white border. That way, when you print it on larger paper, it always looks centered, it always looks correct, and it will print really well on our largest size paper. So then we save it as our PSD file. We make sure that the bottom is flat and white everywhere. So if you're ever unsure of that, just use Edit Fill. And once we've saved it as a PSD file, now we can output what we need for the assignment. So what we need for the assignment is our finished poster. So we're going to save this as a JPEG. So I go to File, Save a Copy, because this is Photoshop 2021. And I'm going to save it just to my desktop so it's easy to find, though my computer's a mess. And then I'm going to save it as a JPEG because it's a rectangle and I'm putting it online. I've named it with my name and assignment 6 and a description, color poster. And then for my quality, I don't need it to be 12. This is a very large file. I just want it to be in the high range. So I'm going to do 8 because that keeps it at under 5 megabytes, which is good for posting to Canvas. So it's saving that. I'll see it on my desktop. I should actually save it to downloads because I have too many images saved on my desktop. But let me make sure I can find it. There it is. So that is for placing online. So I usually mark those orange. Okay, next, I'm going to turn off everything but the type. So I'm going to turn off the backgrounds. Show me your control of your layers. I've already saved it. Turn off all the spot illustration stuff. See all the different coloring layers and the line art and the color holds. So I just have the color type. And I'll go ahead and save all of this. So now when I say save a copy, I'm going to save it as a JPEG, but this is just going to be just the color type solution. In fact, let me cancel. Let me turn off all the borders as well. And we can save it as a PNG so that the type is floating. So I can see very clearly all your color choices. So File, Save a Copy. Change it from Photoshop format to PNG format. And then I'm going to change the name to Color Poster Type. That's your color type design. Everyone's required to have some sort of color variation or effects variation to just their black type. Then I turn off all of those effects and I just leave the black vector type if you haven't already saved it. Turn off the effects on it, turn off any coloring behind it. So there it is. And now I save that. as a copy, as a PNG, but this is going to be the black type. All right, then you want to just make sure you can find those PNGs and the JPEG of your finished poster. So I've got them here, got them here. I'll go ahead and drag this into here. It's all in the same place. And then you're going to load them to Canvas to your assignment. So you go to Assignment Sheets, go to Assignment 6, where you post it. And after presentations today, we'll talk a little bit about CMYK separation and professional printing of posters like this. And I had already posted my black type, so now I just need to add my color type and my final poster. So for my color type, I'm actually going to open up the PNG and just crop it just right in. So I don't need the campus logo. It just takes up a lot of space that's not needed. It's Command K to crop within the preview program. You can just do that, whoops, really quickly. And then, oh, there we are. And then I'm just going to post it. Upload the image, drag and drop it in, so everyone can see it. And then make it so it's not so huge that it overwhelms the Canvas window, because these PNGs can get pretty big. So we want to be able to see your black type solution, your color type solution. That's the type design part of the project. And then your finished poster. And that can be a JPEG. Where to go? There it is. And for it to be a finished poster, it needs to have your text, your spot illustration, a background, and a white border to it. And again, you just want to shrink it so it fits nicely within that window. And then you're done. And with this project, we have learned to integrate vector elements and raster elements into a poster layout. It's fully considered. I like how it's breaking its borders just very subtly. It gives it some life. Okay.